Okay, now we come to the final panel here at the conference. This is the Great Australian TV Measurement Debate. And here to lead that debate once again from MI3 is Paul McIntyre. I think you absolutely smashed the last panel out the park, so no pressure on this one at all. I'm sure it'll be a great job. For the last time, please give our panellists a very warm welcome.
Righto, we are so close to, come on, sort of grab a seat. Doesn't matter where you sit, except I'm told me. Righto, so look, this whole day has sort of moved between measurement and what measurement needs to look like, what collaboration, we need collaboration, what collaboration looks like, and so some sort of industry stalwarts on the panel, I believe, mostly, except for my good self. We're going to get through this measurement debate, and we've got a couple of protagonists in here. Mark Frain from Foxtel Media, just seen Nev. He started all this mess a couple of years ago, so thanks, Mark.
Yeah, nice start.
It's given us something to talk about. But listen, let's just get everyone's view on where measurement, the current state of measurement is at. In your views, 3 words though. You're only allowed 3 words. We'll come back and flesh it out. But let's run through it. We'll just go from well enough. So Lucy, you're down the other end there. You've got me in the other. Hello. State of audience measurement now. 3 words. What do you say?
Messy, disrupted, but evolving.
What was the last bit?
Evolving.
Evolving. Righto.
4 words.
So Mark, or you?
Uncomfortable, speed, leapfrog.
Leapfrog. Righto. Nikki.
Inconsistent, hypocritical, but exciting.
Good. Marelle. Where are you? I've lost you, but there you are. Yeah.
I'm here.
You're hiding behind.
Present, Paul. Present.
Yes, you are. Thank goodness.
I'm going to give you 3 words, but I'm going to start by saying that I don't think that any measurement platform is perfect.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to do that yet.
I am.
No.
I just did though, but I just
Yeah, what are you doing?
Let me give you the 3 words. I think it's evolving. I think it's complex and therefore confusing, and I think it is inconsistent.
Cool. Well, that's about 55 words, but that's okay. You can have that.
Paul, I can't count. I tried really hard.
You tried to count, but you do get back to flesh this out, and which is what we're going to do now. Craig, 3 words. It looks like Marelle set a precedent. You're out 7,000. Go for it.
Yeah. Marketers deserve better.
Okay. Nice. Righto. So what we want to do is actually unpack. They've got 2 minutes now to unpack what each speaker, each panelist means by those 3 words, or in case of Marelle, 5,000 or whatever it was. We'll work out how she gets there. But so Lucy, when you say messy and the rest, because I was furiously pulling out my pen, but messy and beyond, why? What drives that?
So the messy part is for linear, and I think of my crew over there who are TV experts. When it comes to buying TV or linear TV, granted they're used to buying Metro, and then you buy STV, pop it together, you've got one reach result off the back of it. It's not like that anymore, and it just makes it clunky for the teams. Yes, there is different measures through Kantar, and you've still got VOZ, obviously, but it just makes it harder. So when you're going back to clients or you're putting it on media plans saying, okay, this is my Metro reach, I'm assuming this is the reach on STV. And that's the bit at the moment. It's not as smooth, and yes, we're evolving and it's changing, but it just makes it harder to go back to clients and say, this is what your TV reach will be.
And very quickly, has it impacted your investment strategy and direction and what you do?
On some clients, it isn't that too hard basket, and that's where we're having conversations or re-looking at approaches. But yeah, I would say, I don't know, Frain, has it impacted spend at all?
I mean, we went through the transition period, but if I look at March and April, linear revenues close to flat. We've had the best 12 months ever on Fox Sports. So we weathered a couple of challenging months. But
can I do a follow-up on that? Because I was going to ask you that, Mark, but there is talk around the market of declines in your revenues as a result of the measurement, or what's going on, of somewhere between 2-3% a month. It's SMI data, 2-3%, could go to 20%. Is there anything in that? Has the measurement shift impacted your revenue at all?
Right, so Fox Sports last year, best year ever from a revenue performance. We traded on Kantar. the end of last calendar year, all of the stuff from last year, zero rate spots went from 30, 40, peaked at 50% in August. We were losing reach according to the agencies, and therefore we were potentially losing revenue based on traditional planning of television. Yet you chat to clients and they're like, no, you're performing as well. So to some of Nev's points, there was a reach issue, there was audience disappearing, but it wasn't affecting results. So we had to do the work. We've integrated that now into agency planning tools just about across the industry, and now it's coming back because we've actually fixed that.
That's your audience coming back. Is your revenue following?
Yeah. I mean, we've July to December non-sport, we were travelling at -25, -30%. We had a hangover with all of that. Loss of audience, zero spots, lack of reach, which rolled into Jan-Feb. We're now integrated into the agency systems and normality is returning.
So that was a slight segue, but
Yes,
what we were trying to do is get your flesh out. So it's your turn, Mark, to flesh out the 3 words on things. We'll leave you alone for a little bit on that stuff.
Uncomfortable. I think it's uncomfortable for some, and that's agencies. I think that's research companies as well.
And me, by the way.
Well, you're always uncomfortable.
Thank you, yeah, but I was trying to report on it's hard.
I mentioned speed. The speed of which things are changing from a research perspective is extraordinary. And that's not what we've been able to do. But the talk today of return on investment, the talk about reach isn't created equally, video impressions aren't all equal in terms of the impact. But we're now at a point where we can prove all of that. So my final word was leapfrog. And I think some of the capability that Craig, Mutinex, Analytic Partners, Kantar, like the list goes on of MMM players that are leapfrogging traditional media metrics. Yet we wed ourselves back to reach and CPM, which was mentioned by Guy and others from Val Morgan across the day. So there's a leapfrog moment for television that we have not grasped.
Going to come back to that. Nikki, the 3 words, you had hypocritical, inconsistent and exciting. Why?
I'll start with exciting because I think the rest will lead from there. Just to go back to the beginning of the day when Karen talked about VOZ, I think you cannot underestimate how well it has launched this year. And there's been a lot of eye rolling and it took too long and sure, fine. But at this moment in time, VOZ is absolutely fantastic. The data set that informs VOZ, people are always surprised when I talk about it. 16 million devices, 4,500 streaming meters, 20,000 viewers per day. And now we're about to add even more with the new partnerships announced today. That is exciting. And you can see that VOZ isn't standing still, it's only growing. And we're talking about bringing new partners into VOZ. So that VOZ set is going to grow. It is going to incorporate streamers. So this is exciting. And it is exactly what we're all talking about, the Holy Grail being. VOZ is the closest thing we have to it, I truly believe. So I find that very exciting. And I think these announcements today really should be seen in that light.
Can I ask you just a question on VOZ? Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry, I'm not taking over your job.
I think you are, but it's okay. Away you go.
And I applaud getting to the end of the VOZ journey. But it was 6 or 7 years ago when we were trying to solve a problem of linear plus BVOD. Could we crack the incremental reach model? And cracking reach is a really hard thing to do. But it took 6 or 7 years, and we delivered it in December. The industry 6 or 7 years ago didn't have KO, Binge, Amazon, Stan. Like the list is endless. So now the problem we're trying to solve is so far beyond incremental reach.
Very different now.
That's true, but I think VOZ still provides a great opportunity for all of those players to be part of it. It's not limited to by any stretch, and yeah, the world's got a lot more complicated, but when we look at VOZ, it still provides a great opportunity for everyone in that cohort to be represented. So I don't think that it means that VOZ's time is over. Yeah, things have changed, but it's well set up for success, provided people are prepared to come in and players are prepared to come in, and as we've heard, they are, and we'll see some developments in that area. I don't argue that the world's got more complicated, and I also don't think it's one solution for everything. But a foundation measurement that shows us the size of the opportunity is important, and one that is transparent, that is independently verified, that stretches across 20 million people in Australia, because that's the size of the TV platform. That matters. That is worth a lot versus my other word I think was unfair or
Hypocrisy. So we've got that, and I want to come back to the VOZ thing because I'm interested in whether people are actually using it, because I hear like it's literally what's the take up in the market, and we've got a couple of agency groups here to tell us how they're using it, because there is another scenario that says the agency groups have invented their own, and well, not invented, created, I should say. You're not out of nowhere. I wasn't implying anything mystical, but there are alternatives out there now. There's the point, and some of them are. And so, I mean, even you, Nikki, talk about okay, so we're going to have lots of different feeds into the market. Who's got the right call on this? So it gets to us to. We'll get to VOZ. There's a long way saying we're going to come back to VOZ. Hypocrisy and inconsistency were the two words you said, Nikki.
Well, look, it's been talked about a huge amount today, but the problem of comparability between all the different kinds of video that is out there, and we talked a lot today about premium long form, and I think that's probably the crux of it, and the fact that it is often being bundled with and compared to low impact digital video. We can start to talk about what premium is versus low impact is. I think we've talked a lot about that today. TV is held to extremely high standards. I mean, what VOZTAM had to go through to get VOZ to where it is now are the kind of hoops that no one else is being asked to jump through. And even when we look at the way TV's bought, we're held to standards that others simply aren't. Through for clients not wanting to buy midnight to dawn because that audience doesn't count. Come on, how does that work in a digital video landscape? That's just one example. I think we've got to start looking at, comparability, and I think we'll see that come out of the next year, because I'm hearing it being prioritised in conversations, that it actually matters.
So the inconsistency bit, it's interesting. So, I think Neville talked about going through the Kantar methodology. You need to go through some auditing or some MFA checkpoints to make sure it's okay. I want to ask the buy side here. Was the same thing applied to, so you got Kantar and Foxtel Media needing to go, okay, are you robust enough? Let's just get some third-party views. Was Amazon's measurement system, do you do the same? The point is, it's the same applied.
But I'd just jump in and say on Kantar, we've had to get the MFA to look at it just to make sure that it is audited, because it didn't go through the same rigour as what VOZ has had to go through. So just calling that out.
Right, and so, but I'm saying there's the streaming metrics as well. The streamer metrics that have been delivered, are they being put through, are they being asked the same thing?
Not to the same extent as what OzTam have had to go through. They've been through the ringer on that.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I hear Nikki talk about the inconsistency of, okay, even Foxtel Media and Kantar have been asked to do things that others are not. And so then it begs the question, I think you talked about it earlier, Nikki, is so why bother on gold standard? There's literally, if the market is not rating, whether it be Kantar and Foxtel Media or OzTam and the broadcasters, the market does not recognise gold standard as being a difference. Can I get a view on that before I get to you, Craig? I know that I know where you're going, and it's good, so it's all right. But just can we ask it? Can I get that? So, literally, where's the position on that?
I don't know that that's fair, right? The industry is not spending the same amount of money on Amazon or Foxtel as they are the free-to-air broadcasters, right? And I agree with Nikki, because I did, inconsistent was one of my words as well. We're holding TV and BVOD to a 15-second and other platforms to a 2-second, a 1-second, 5. Everybody is on something completely different. It's right. Hard to keep track of, right? We don't have a unified single source of measurement, right? I think, yes, is VOZ and TV plus VVOD, is it late, et cetera, yeah, sure. But, I think it goes back to my earlier point. There's no measurement system that's perfect. Everybody is doing the best that they can do. I think it is then on agencies, right? When I think my other word was complex and therefore very confusing. It's the agency's role in this for clients to take that complexity and simplify that, right? And that's our role. And I know you talked about, agencies coming up with their own models, and therefore is VOZ needed. I think we're at a place in time where the market is so complex and we need anything now to help us navigate that, right? And, Frain is doing his own thing with Kantar, the free-to-air guys are doing their thing with VOZ, you've got the VFC, it's all so fractured, right? How do we create something where we can bring it all together under some kind of unifying measurement to then help navigate that for clients.
Okay, I'm going to come back to... Oh, sorry. Lisa,
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it is fractured. It's not going to come back to one single source anymore. So, you know, if you look at the States, and I think I mentioned it last year, you know, they've got a JIC, so a Joint Industry Committee, who looks at all the different currencies out there and just makes sure that there's the rigor that goes behind them, and it's audited to make sure that, you know, it's compliant to everything is legit. Like, that's what we need here. There will be multiple measurement tools, multiple currencies, so embrace it, but we've just got to work collectively as an industry to make sure that, you know, we do tick.
There are some really important issues in what you're talking about, which I want to come back to when we have the conversation. Yes, we have 24 minutes. That'll go in about 5 minutes, so let's get going. Total TV and Total TV in the real Total TV context. We'll come back to that. Craig, I haven't even got your 3 words yet, so listen, welcome. Agile is in every... It was all over the place, and now let's go.
Yeah, my 3 words were marketers deserve better.
That's right. Flesh it out, sorry.
So what the guys are saying here, it's, you know, marketers and agencies, what they're looking for today is something clear. It's something that's unified, it's something that's independent, and it's holistic. And in the absence of that, everybody's trying to work with all of this fragmented data. They're trying to create their own tools to get across this, and I don't know that that is actually sustainable. So what I believe is that as an industry, we need to come together and actually give marketers, agencies, something that we can actually give back some value to the entire TV and video ecosystem, and that's to move beyond audience.
Right, and so that's where we get to now, where a lot of the conversation today has been like polar opposites. It's been about beyond reach and business outcomes, or reach, with reach, making reach and audience, but then business outcomes. So we are going to get to that, and that's where you, I think, argue, Craig, that there's something more required. Go quickly on that.
Yeah, I think, you know, we've spoken about it and seen it a lot today, that audience historically has been a proxy to outcomes.
Yeah.
And that's just not enough anymore. There's so many different delivery channels. How are they actually delivering outcomes for businesses? And not just how are they delivering outcomes, how is each channel used to deliver that? So I think that's going, you know, well beyond audience as a proxy. It's been used historically, maybe not the best one, but it's really difficult now to understand that. You can't go and buy certain weights.
But it was easy to do, was it? Well, it was easier. Wrote in than what we have now. Reach a proxy to business. If you get your reach right, everything flows. Well, we're seeing that's not the case, right?
Well, I mean, Craig, I think it's easier and faster to get to business outcomes than 100%. It is faffing around on incremental reach all over the place.
Well, simpleton.
I mean, we've done heaps of work with Agile. I think probably everyone on the panel has done work with Agile. People in the audience have done work with Agile. And we've done it really quickly. And we've been able to look at a multitude of video players to see what's working or what's not from a sales perspective, from a website, whatever the metric, these guys are tracking it. So we've got a platform that's telling us what works, and then it's down to the individual media owners to make sure you got the best content, you got the best user experience, you got the best ad experience, et cetera, et cetera. And then these guys can independently go, there's the level playing field. And I think we can do that quickly. We've been doing it quickly.
We're doing it quickly, and we're doing it now, and we're doing it in real time. And I think one of the key things that you say there, Frain, is independently. So we don't buy any media, we don't sell any media, we don't create data segments. We just want to show how video and TV is working.
Yeah, what are you doing then? Yeah. Why are you so popular?
Yeah, I think for that reason, Paul, we're totally independent, and we're actually just giving back the data to marketers and agencies to get the best possible outcome they can for their business, because reach is no longer what it was. It actually is, when somebody sees my ad, what are they doing? What is the actual outcome of that? And it's just, I think it's critical, and it's there. We're doing it right now.
Well, it's an interesting point, though. We've got Agile on stage, and they've presented the last kind of couple of years, but we're not sitting here with a traditional research company. We're sitting here with someone that's in the business of measuring outcomes. That's all they do. So clearly, things have
there's some intent. Okay, well, let's get to, but there's confusion and some complexity to everyone's point on the way. Can we start then with basically all of you saying what's needed most right now, in your view, as a priority for industry and measurement to solve for. Maximum 2 points. So just literally, let's get down that line first, and I want to get back to total TV, and I want to get back to reach too, Nikki, because so much of the business still is driven around audience reach, and so how do you make that transition? But firstly, just the 2 points. Craig, start with you. Nikki, start with you. The most important two things that need to happen right now in terms of industry and measurement, your view.
Improve transparency so that we really truly understand what is happening with audiences, less self-reporting, more, third-party audited measurement, more transparency. That would help us all. I feel really confident that the VOZ data that's going into all the agency models is robust. I know that we are well represented there, but what I don't know is everything else that's going in there and how it's represented, and I think transparency would be really great to see. And then look, there's all sorts of ways we can go. We're talking a lot about outcomes, and frankly, we do a lot of work in outcomes already in TV. It's not new. We do brand health studies all the time. We use Adgile to do campaign tracking. We're working with some MMM companies at the moment. We're looking at outcomes constantly, but it is limited as well. And in our reality, we don't have a real-time dashboard that is necessarily showing those outcomes. We saw outcomes today. I mean, ThinkBox showed us some amazing outcomes today. I mean, what we saw today was measurement of outcomes of 150-odd clients and their MMM models. But my question is, what happens off the back of that? What action gets taken? I mean, it was pretty compelling.
I think it's a really good point, actually, Nikki, that you make. And we've sat here for years and seen many and many of those studies that show how powerful TV is. And to your point, you don't have a dashboard that can demonstrate that power in real time. Well, you can have. We're doing it now all the time, and I think it needs to be done at scale. And as we all sit here, audience from a television perspective has been growing, all right? And that's a really strong sign. But what it actually does is demonstrates to me anyway who the real competition is. All right, so Google, Meta, Amazon, they are dominating, all right, and they're dominating for a couple of reasons. Number one, they do show that it works and how you optimize it, but they're only showing that to optimize within their own channel. They are actually positioning themselves as partners, not just vendors, and outcome-based partners. So I think that's where the real enemy or competition is, but all of that they're currently doing now is available for TV, both linear and streaming.
That's where the agencies then come in, to look at it holistically across the whole ecosystem, not just Meta, Google doing the, fishing in their own pond, or TV looking at TV only. I guess, the great thing about agencies and working either with a Mutinex or an analytic partners or whoever, our own in-house team, is we can look at everything, and that's where, everyone's spoken about outcomes. That seems to be the word of the day. That's where we can then work with you guys around, or the media owners around. Okay, this isn't working here. We just need to tweak. And
let me go there, Lucy, because this is the whole point. Marelle and Lucy, but both your groups have built your own sort of total TV optimizers products to basically understand or fill the gap that you felt you weren't getting as things went beyond the broadcaster system, right? So this is, and I think this is where Nikki makes a point about, Lucy, you've got your groups, Marelle, you've got yours. Transparency is you're making calls on data sets that you're happy with, but it's driving investment decisions. And so not only have you got audience measurement from the media owners, you've got the agencies building their own total TV. And so suddenly, this is when we get to this complexity and confusion. So to Nikki's point, how do we see transparency in what you guys are bringing into your optimizer to say, okay, your data's good, and we accept that it's the right decision. That bit in terms of transparency on the media agencies, how do you do that? It doesn't matter just because your clients go, yep, we get it, and we're seeing the business results.
So we're starting to talk to partners around outcomes. When we briefed from a group perspective for 2025, it was very much around outcomes, and we will be as transparent as we can. Every client's outcomes, if they're doing modelling, not every product, so say you pick off a client who's got 10 different products, they're not all going to have the same outcomes for the different network mix that they have. So that's where we've just got to work collectively with our partners.
You start on reach, you start on your audience numbers, and then you move down or up, or however you want to do it.
A base that you go off, but there's so many other measures that go into modelling.
I want to ask, yeah, absolutely. Marelle, I want to ask you in a second, but so in terms of reach, then, Lucy, what's your data telling you about the broadcaster system and beyond? How's it carved up in terms of consumption or how you see it?
Well, it depends on the client. So, you know, some clients TV doesn't work for some of the
No, I'm not
results.
I'm not talking about investment. I'm talking about like the audience and the time viewing. How are you carving up where that's?
Look, it's probably 50-50 if you're looking
50-50,
at on that. But you know, we've done a huge amount of modelling internally around what sort of share you should be putting to SVOD, BVOD, linear, etc. As I'm sure OMG are doing the same. So, you know, it is just working. It varies by demographic. It varies, you know, by what the outcomes are that you want to get out of it as well. So yeah, it's.
But ultimately, we're trying to get the total TV in the purest form of it.
Total TV, not just.
Not the broadcaster total TV. Yeah. Yes, and that's been the challenge.
Yeah, totally. SVOD, AVOD in there as well.
Okay, Marelle. So what are you seeing in terms of total TV? If you've built your own to try and get there as well. This is part of the debate that's been for a long time about waiting for VOZ. It's here, but now you guys have gone off and built some stuff yourself.
We have, yeah. And to Nikki's point, our model is totally transparent, and a lot of the data that has gone into our model actually comes from Nikki and the guys at Nine as well. So what we've done is built a multi-screen optimizer, so we call it the MSO at OMG. Essentially what we've done is work with each of the media partners, so 7, 9, Paramount, Foxtel, Amazon, YouTube, Netflix, Samsung. I feel like I'm missing a few in that, but there's a lot more. And what we're doing is we are taking KO, but I'll put you all in the same thing. KO, Binge, Paramount Plus.
TVNZ.
TVNZ, sure, come along for the ride. So what we've done is we are ingesting via an API monthly first-party reach curves from each of the media partners. So the reach in January will look different to February. When Amazon are up here talking about 5 million, we kind of see what is that really by month, depending on what the content is.
What's 5 million? What does it get to in Amazon? Come on, give us something.
It's all very different. It's all very different depending on the month, the audience, what you're looking for.
What's Amazon's range?
Come and be a client of OMG, Paul, and I'll tell you.
Proprietary, lack of transparency here, Marelle. Come on, let's go.
There's not. If you're a client or you're one of the media partners we're ingesting the data from, it's completely transparent. So what we've got is the first party reach and frequency curves, right? We're overlaying into that attention, right? And then we are overlaying onto that then a client's campaign CPMs and whatever the goal is that we're trying to hit, right? You know, you can talk about reach, but not all reach is created equal. There's quality of reach, there's velocity of reach, there's so many other factors, right? Everyone's banded the term reach around today, and it goes so much deeper than that, right? And so then we're able to get down to demographics, down to all these different levels to then help us plan what is the right screens profile for whatever that campaign is.
Right, so you filled the gap yourself.
That's what agencies are good at, right?
But that's
their job.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. Well, you're experts at it, so it's faster for us to get our data shit in order and pump it into the agency.
So are you saying then that you and Nikki should use Lucy and Marelle's product for total reach and audience stuff? I mean, are we going to get Are we going to get together somehow?
That doesn't give you a central currency,
No,
though.
it doesn't.
But it's not about currency.
At the end of the day, the agencies have got their own set of tools which makes them sticky to clients on terms of their optimization, matching those plans with outcomes. Well, that's what they're all building. Like, and they're building longer-term relationship with clients from that capability.
Okay, so then what's left for media owners to do?
Create great content that engages audiences so that we've got somebody to engage in that environment, and then build more innovative products so that we can create meaningful connections with those customers.
So do we need what we need now?
Casey wants all of the data and everything. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. So where does it leave us then? So Nikki, what are you thinking about this so far? Is it like literally does media still need to report? What do you do? I'll stop.
No, I think these media models are here to stay, and I'm not arguing that they shouldn't at all. Just want to make sure that the inputs are as solid as they can be. You know, that everyone is fairly represented in them. But yeah, absolutely, we can't control it all. We'll keep working on making sure that the data that we're generating out of VOZ is the very best it can be. It will be ingested, you know, along with other data. And Marelle's right, like reach, this is just foundational stuff, because after that we've got to layer over, I think attention's been talked about a lot today, quality reach, attentive reach, like, you know, it's not all created equal by any means. It's just a starting point. So I think they are absolutely here to stay and very much support that. I don't think, though, that media owners should just go, well, it's not our responsibility now anymore. I think we still need to play our role with our own industry measurements. You know, I think that rigour is still really, really important. It's not going anywhere.
Okay, so the buy side, what do you need from media owners then? If you're going out and building out your own models as to what the total television looks like, where you should be going, where the business results and impacts are, what do you need?
I need the content to be, you know, amazing, engaging, attentive for consumers, and then to work with us flexibly. So if we are looking at outcome-based results, which is, you know, what we're doing with a lot of clients at the moment, you know, we need to be able to work flexibly with our partners so that, you know, if certain formats, certain durations aren't working, let's try something different. And all the conversations we've had with everyone over the last 6-12 months, everyone's open to that, you know, because no one wants their platform or their channel to fail. So everyone's going to lean in and just say, right, okay, what do we need to do? Let's try.
So I'm still confused. What do we need to do? Craig, what do we need to do here?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really interesting because the conversation always comes back to what does the broadcaster or the publisher have to do? What does the agency have to do? I actually think that the marketers also should have a voice in this discussion as well. And I think it's quite concerning. Most recently, the AANA stated that they're going to take a bit of a sit back or a fast follow of other markets. Watch what happens in the UK as an example. I think that's potentially...
Oh, those in terms of cross-media, universal cross-media measurement or whatever it might be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's potentially a real, for TV anyway, potentially a death sentence, because we just don't have a horizon to sit back and watch what someone else is doing. Because, I think Ben Shepherd recently did a piece that really clearly called out a time horizon that the current television landscape, if nothing is done, will be very different, if not exist by 27. I think Karen said this morning, there's some urgency here. So I just think that everybody has to have a voice, not just agencies and broadcasters or publishers. I think the marketers have to have a voice.
Well, the undercurrent, the conversations, absolutely. So, I mean, let's just get to the crunch here. Like, literally, I have several conversations the last few weeks that say that the problem that the broadcasters, the broadcaster system has now, digital and linear, is that it can't take cost out fast enough and build the quality content to match what the global streamers are doing and amortizing across multiple markets. So I heard today, the buyers say better content. The issue is, can that be done economically at the sort of cost base we need to be able to match the same expectation consumers have and what the platforms are building out globally into multiple markets? So there's a dilemma. Oh, Mark, Frain, you're in the thick of that, and I'll ask Mark and Nikki that first. Can you get there? 3 years is what I think you said, Shepherd. Well, 3 years is what people are saying is the sustainable point. So we may not have what we're seeing now in 3.
Massively, it'd be game over if we don't do anything. I mean, I think we've got to be seriously brave here. We keep talking about the same shit. Right?
Well, we've got a collaboration.
We've got a company,
8 years ago we're talking this.
We've got a company here that can be independent and put together a platform across the industry for all parts of television and tell us which bits work best. And in totality, how well television goes versus radio versus outdoor. Then what happens? We all rise. We all rise with the tide, which is one of the talks today. How do we make this whole thing rise for the future? We can do that. These guys can play an independent role. We can get it endorsed by the MFA. We can do an audit to see if it's real. And then there's outcomes. Outcomes across, make it up, 20 video players. Fucking great news. That's future-facing stuff. Let's just be brave. Just get on with it.
Nikki?
I totally agree.
What, so we got kumbaya between...
Yeah,
right.
no.
Okay.
We're off.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. World peace is done. No, sorry, keep going, Nikki.
I agree. I think that would be, it's exactly where the industry needs to go. Adgile do provide a solution. You know, I'm all for that. So
Ray,
I think
can you build it?
that's a conversation that, you're right, we need to
12 months?
kind of come together
Yeah.
once and for all and go,
Our
are we
work
going to
here
do
is
something like
done.
that? Are we going to invest in it?
Fucking best panel of the day.
Yeah.
We're having the
Getting
conversation.
spicy now.
We're having a conversation now. The capability is there. It's already there. It's now working together to deliver that at
We've
capacity.
got 5
and
minutes
scale.
left. Let's get some champagne out.
Let's go.
Yeah, well, so thank you. Well, listen, I want to ask the buy side though. Like, would you buy that? Would you accept that? Is that what you want?
We've been doing a lot of work with Adgile. We do a lot of work with these guys. Look, I think, I agree. I think that there's some urgency here.
That's
I
a
think
yes from her.
We can't just sit. We can't just sit back and be in 2-3 years' time sitting here having the same conversation.
Please not.
to
Please, that
Frain's
is- I'm
right?
absolutely aligned with that one.
It's starting to get a little bit boring. I think that we need to think about how we move forward. How do we start thinking about impact? We don't need any infighting, right? Competition breeds innovation. You know, from at the heart of their inception, Meta and Google, analytics is first nature to them, right? And they measure everything and, you know, to their benefit, right? Whether the measurement's right, marking their own homework, that's a whole other story, right? At the end of the day, we are optimizing within their own ecosystems based on outcomes, right? How do we get to a place where we can do that faster? Yep. And Adgile is providing that opportunity, right? Triple M models are amazing, but they are, you know, they take time and they come late
They're
in
a
time.
lot quicker now though, Marelle. I mean, you can get Mucinex data.
Yeah.
So can I just ask Lucy with that? Have you like one of your groups has moved entirely to an MMM-based
Not
plan?
entirely, but we've got a huge shift into the FFM models and MMM models.
Yeah.
Love Adgile, but we've also got our own model that shows the outcomes.
Yeah.
So
And this is where I get to and saying, okay, we talk about transparency and we're going to run out of time, but there is also how do we know that the agency groups that have now got the proxy platforms to go, okay, that's where the money's going to go, is not working to an agenda that works for you guys as well, that is not necessarily for media owners or supply chain. Now, we won't get into that, or unless you want to have a quick response. How do we get transparency on you, Lucy?
Clients have access to the data, though, the outcome models. So we're working hand in hand with clients on the outcomes. You know, we're not making changes on the media plan until we've, you know, chatted to them and discussed how we're going to shift things. So everyone's on board, and then we'll go and share with our partners how things
But
are,
how good would it be?
working.
How good would it, you guys have spoken about the optimizers you've created and the planning work that does, and then you compare the plan to the outcomes according to, you're going to have a fucking busy year.
Yeah.
According to Adgile, like what's worked and what changes, how dynamic can you be? Then we start to get into a really exciting space for video.
Okay, so we've got the Messiah on stage by the sounds of it, so we'll check on him later and see what happens, what he's got to say. But I think we've got a couple of minutes left. I don't know which way to go, but I do definitely think we need to go. In the end, if you look at what's happening with the platforms in terms of Google with Performance Max and Meta with Advantage Plus, this is all now going to AI-driven planning and buying and execution. So does any of this matter if we're all going to have machines doing grunt work for where, I mean, what you've built now in terms of the platform, where does AI take us in terms of media planning and buying? Everything could be what? How far does it automate? Give us one sentence on it because we've got to wrap it up and have a beer.
I think the data becomes faster and the humans are then there to pump the insights out versus trying to mine the data. And I think the richness is in the insights, not in the actual data.
Okay, so does that mean we still need humans and we still need value add? That's the point.
We still definitely need humans. I think, you know, to Frainy's point.
Meta and Google don't though, do they? They need less of them, heaps less of them. That's the point I'm sort of saying. If we're trying to match what the platforms are doing, that's where they're going, and I don't want to be a pain in the ass.
I think that their platforms are doing the data side of it. I think that you'll find in speaking to Google, for example, that they've got more humans and different humans to actually now sell their product.
Right.
And I think that's where the changes come in.
Okay, wrap up. Couple of words, Craig. The probability of where we're not where we were. The probability where we'll be in 12 months' time.
It's a big one, Paul. What I want is that we're doing exactly what Frain's talking about. We can sit here in 12 months' time and we can all look at outcomes. If we don't, we are absolutely going to be beholden to the global tech bros, and we're not going to have the same television landscape that we have today. And I think that that's really, really scary.
Mark, probability of where we'll be in 12 months?
Depends on everyone else in this room, but I think the ambition's here. And as I said, you can move so quickly in this space. So let's do what Craig said.
Just a quick one to build on that, Frain. Depending on who's in this room, all the people that need to make this happen are in this room. So we just need to make that happen quick.
Marelle, probability 12 months?
We'll be talking less about measurement and more about the innovative work that we can actually be doing on the platforms to create more meaningful engagement.
Cool, that suits me. Nikki?
Look, I don't disagree. I think we all are investing in and are invested in outcomes. It's got to be the right solution that works for our channels, because as we heard today from Anthony, TV plays a role both in the short and the long term, and we've got to make sure we're accounting for that all the way through. My experience at the moment is that efficiency is trumping effectiveness. Will that change? Because there's a ton of data out there that would support the role that we can play and our outcomes that we provide, but they're not necessarily being acted on. So, we have to get it to that point where we have something that's getting acted on too. But I'm super supportive of that sentiment. I'd love to see it happening in 12 months. Lucy, final 12 months probability.
I think in 12 months' time there'll be more measurement partners and modelling type partners on stage at this event, talking about how they can deliver outcomes for clients. And I think the total TV picture will be genuine total TV.
Let's leave it at that. There's lots to think on, and I got to think about it anyway. You guys might have all sorted out. But so let's put your hands together for the panel, and we got it.